Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. It is time to do the arcane wrap up. I have been putting this off for so long and I really just need to kind of do it. If you noticed, I got a few new things for my setup. I got a microphone, which is so cool. Shout out to Lexi, she got it for me. Thank you, Lexi. And I got a tripod as well, so that's what's filming right now. So anyways, just wanted to update y'all. I will be doing like a little desk setup and like a whole vlog about that. Anyways, if you don't know who I am, my name is Lee, or the Pink Gamer. Welcome back to my channel. We're gonna go ahead and talk about Act 3 of Arcane and Arcane as a whole, Season 2. I went to the LA premiere and I got to see all of the episodes early. It's the last 3 episodes early, and they were amazing. It was such a great time, but I wanted to do something that, because I can't do a reaction to them because it wouldn't feel authentic and it wouldn't be like a genuine new reaction. I wanted to just go over, talk about it, chill out a little bit. So go ahead, grab a snack, grab a coffee, grab a tea, whatever you prefer to drink, vodka, and let's chill out and just talk about it. So in this video, I wanted to put the LA vlog in, but I'm gonna go ahead and make it its own separate video just because I feel like that's what's right. I feel like if I put the LA vlog in here, it'd be too much content, and I kind of wanted to separate that out, so that's why that's not in here. So this is going to be the non-spoilery part of the talk. So if you haven't seen Season 2, or I don't know, I guess Arcane as a whole, and you're just here because you're watching my videos, hi, what's up? Go watch Arcane, but thank you for being here. This is just going to be me talking about that as a whole without spoiling too much. Act 3. So if I was going to rate Act 3, it was not my favorite of the acts of Season 2. Act 2 was definitely my favorite. If I go back to Season 1, I would say probably the same thing, that Act 2 was my favorite of Season 1. So Act 2s have been really like hitting it out of the park. I would have to give Act 2 the award for the best act of the season. I just think that Act 3 didn't deliver on all the things that I was hoping it would deliver on. It didn't feel like it was rushed, or that there was too much info that was put in there, or that there was any loose ends that weren't tied up, which, you know, I'll get to that later. I just felt like it really tried to jam in too many of different plot points and characters into one thing. The execution wasn't there. I get where they were trying to go with it, but it just didn't land in the way that it needed to. Bingo! Let's go over bingo together. So I have some of these marked off already, but let's go through it and see if we got any others. Victor dies. Technically, that was right. Victor did die for a partial amount of time, so I'm going to put it there. Echo unlocks time powers. Yes. That was like such a cool part of the season. We'll talk more about that. Formal wear party. There wasn't that. We definitely all thought there was going to be like a little party scene, but it turned out to just be the alternate universe. Mel and Jay's breakup. Yes, that happened. Jinx cuts Savika's hair. I like to think this is like an AU, not an AU, like a headcanon. Jinx cuts Savika's hair, but I'm not going to put a mark over it because we didn't get to see it. Time bomb talk. We got a time bomb talk. Kate shoots Ambessa. Kate hit Ambessa, so I'm not gonna put a mark over that either. Apartment reveal. We didn't get that. Kate v reunion angst. Absolutely got that. Heimerdinger dies permanently. Yes. Kate v, we definitely got that. One of Kate's squad dies. Yes. 2 of them. One of them deserved it. The other did not. Kate and Jinx work together. Yes, we got that. I got a bingo. I got 1 bingo so far. Vi and Jinx go separate ways. Technically, yeah. KDA shows up? No. Hopefully they will throughout these next few stories. Kate v Endgame? Yes. So happy about that. Jinx fire equals new hair. No, she just cut that off. And Mel lives. Yes, we got that. So how many bingos did we get? We got, oh, my eyes. This is what happens when I don't wear glasses because I'm trying to look pretty. We got 4 bingos. So I don't know what I'm going to do to celebrate for getting 4 bingos. We got 4 bingos, and I'm really excited and really happy about that. If you guys played along, let me know what you got. Next order of business. Overall thoughts. I enjoyed Season 2 of Arcane. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't, because that's not true. If I was going to compare the two, I can't. They're just two separate entities, season 1 and season 2. There's no way I can compare the two. That's that. Accept it. I'm not gonna stay here and say one was greater than the other because I don't believe that one was greater than the other. The whole season 1 through season 2 felt like one whole story. I wish that the story had been more fleshed out. I wish that there was just more time and more spacing for it. I think it would have gone over really well. All right, and I think that's just my overall non-spoilery thoughts. I did spoil with the bingo though, so. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's get into the details of each of the episodes and break it down. So first episode we're going to go over is episode 7, Pretend Like It's the First Time. So the AU looks in this were everything. I loved Powder's little buns. I loved Echo's dreads and his whole look and his pierced ears. I loved it. I loved the creativity with that. When the vinyl cover changed from Powder or Jinx and Vi to Powder and Echo, everyone in the auditorium screamed. It was so loud. It was so fun to just be a part of that. The music direction throughout the episode was absolutely flawless. I feel like there wasn't a point that wasn't hit with the music direction. When Echo says, "I feel like I woke up in the wrong universe." Okay, Miles Morales. I could sit here and write a whole script on Miles and Echo comparisons, but we would honestly just be here all day. So many people have already pointed out like how Powder and Echo are so similar to Gwen and Miles, and it makes my little Giles heart so happy. If you don't know, I love Gwen and Miles. They're great, specifically in the Spider-Verse, not in like the comics and stuff. I love Powder and Echo just because I love Gwen and Miles. Like, it just fortified that more for me. Powder in this AU grew up to be so kind and so understanding, and it makes me so sad because it's like, this is what could have been, you know, this is what Powder's future could have been, and we didn't get that because of one catalyst event. I love the whole butterfly theory. If you don't know what the butterfly theory is, it's just that every time a butterfly flaps its wings, something changes or something goes different. And like, if you go down a butterfly wing, they have like different veins and I don't know what the exact words are, leave me alone, but you can go down them and they're like different pathways and they branch out. It's like branches on a tree, right? And I love the butterfly theory, and I think they did that so well in this episode. When Vi was mentioned, again, the screams in the auditorium, everyone freaked the fuck out. Everyone was like, oh my god, we're gonna get to see AU Vi and what she's gonna be like and this and that. Anyways, again, I love Powder and Echo, but the way that Twitter ruined them for me, not ruin them completely, but just like really put a sour note in my mouth, just because anytime you would mention Kate V, you would get these Powder and Echo shippers and they'd be like, actually, Kate V is so toxic and so damaging and so gross. And I would just be like, okay, I don't like your ship anymore. So it's unfortunate that it's come to that, but relax a little bit, okay? Controversial? Maybe. I don't know. So then we get to where Vi is in the AU and she's dead. Not fun. I wrote, her death did not make the world better. It was realizing how truly dangerous Hex Tech was. Kids died. Jace probably died. Just lots of death. Also, having to see it visually was absolutely brutal, yes, because having to see Vi just like on the ground, that was traumatizing. I think I'm gonna live with that for the rest of my life. Like, that really hurt. Her death did not make the world better. Like, that wasn't the point. The point was that Hex Tech not being created and not being invented was actually a good thing in the long run, and that's why Victor was trying so hard to prevent Jace from getting it out of control, you know, and we'll get to that. I just wrote the rat song. Heimerdinger singing, I never would have thought would bring me to tears. I was really like hesitant when I saw his voice actor was going to be singing on the soundtrack, and then I heard the song and I was like, this is the most heart-wrenching song I've ever heard in my entire life. If you haven't listened to that song, it's called Spin the Wheel. It is honestly one of my favorite songs from the Arcane soundtrack. It's so good and I cry each and every single time. Controversial opinion. Jace's part could have been cut out of the song and I would have been fine with it. Jace's whole struggle, I didn't really care about it. I just didn't really feel for it. It wasn't really my thing, and I'm sorry to have to say that, but I just didn't feel like it fit within the song and the story, and I would have rather had like flashbacks to it, honestly, instead of it being like this whole montage, and it just felt drawn out. The passage of time dealing with Jace was done really well, though. I really did enjoy that little detail. The climbing out of the cave with Jace, I did not like. Okay, again, controversial, and I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree. Why wouldn't you have climbed out of the cave in the first place? Like, why wouldn't have that been your first thought instead of like spending so many days suffering and then being like, okay, now let's climb out? Like, I get it. It's like, it's kind of a metaphor for depression and how you can only help yourself. You can only receive the help that you want to receive. But at the same time, it was just frustrating seeing that as a viewer and being like, climb out of the damn cave. Echo's mural of Vi left the room in tears. Seeing her painted like that and portrayed like that, like, you really get this sense that Vi is the heart and the glue of the show and of these characters. She is such a meaningful character, and the show wouldn't be the same without her. Powder saying Vi was strong because she was afraid, that's it. That's Vi's whole character. Vi, she wears her emotions on her sleeves. She is such a good person because of that. Like, she shows so much just genuineness and realness because of course she's afraid. Saying that she's not isn't, it's not true. Like, she puts on a front for sure that she isn't afraid, but she's afraid of losing the people she loves. I really wish that this episode had just been AU centered, had just been focused on Powder and Echo and the gang, and I wish it had come earlier through the season. It just felt kind of shoved in there, the whole arcane aspect, which I know the show is called Arcane, I get it, but the whole thing just felt kind of shoved in there, and I hate when writers do that in the third act where it's just like, or the last act or last season, whatever it may be, oh, let's do this one thing plot wise and go crazy because it's the last season and it's less, like, it doesn't need to be that way, you know what I mean? Like, I hope I'm explaining this correctly. I wish it had come earlier within the season. When Echo first displayed his powers of time, again, auditorium lost it. Everyone was like, oh my god, because you either knew the lore or you didn't, and either way you were just like shell shocked. It was such a cool experience. The limit is 4 seconds. I died. I really did. I died. It was just funny. It was just like, everyone thought that was like the funniest thing alive, me included, just because, yes, there's a very hard stop, because otherwise Heimerdinger would have died, which he did eventually, but we'll get to that. She loves the spectacle. Same old Powder. Nothing new. Nothing changed. Her look, her little like dress leather jacket combo, everyone's jaw dropped. Everyone thought she was so beautiful. Me included. When I'm saying everyone, this is me included. And again, it's so reminiscent of Gwen and Miles, and I love it. Silka being there and not being intertwined with Powder and her story felt very off to me. I get this is an AU and you get to explore different things and oh, what if, and this and that. But personally, I just wouldn't have included Silco in the AU story beat. Like, why was Silco there and then Vi wasn't and Jace wasn't? And I was like, Silco didn't need to be there. Like, maybe that's a controversial opinion, but I was just like, I don't really think that Silco needed to be there and he needs to go away. Powder and Echo being so happy and carefree really just like cured something in me. When they were flirting with each other, everyone was like, this is delicious. Like, it was so good. Like, their flirting was so cute and so juvenile and so like, just reminds me of like high school and trying to flirt with your crush and everything, and it was just so cute. They're so sweet together. Him dodging their first kiss made so much sense. Even in the AU, even though he is still Echo, our Echo that we know and love, he's not trusting of a lot of people, Echo as a character, because of what's happened in his life. So him not going in for the kiss the first time around made so much sense, especially since it was Jinx. He was like, I mean, you're cute, but you're also kind of crazy, so I don't know. So let's talk about the kiss. Was it earned or was it fan service? In my opinion, I think it was both. The Time Bomb community has been so vocal since the beginning, so it was apparent that this was going to be inevitable. That community is so vocal, it would have been wrong not to like give the kiss to them, if that makes any sense. But I do also think it was earned because Jinx and Echo are tragic lovers. Like, they are these two sides of a coin that could just never be because of circumstances. The rose chain. Can we talk about the rose chain? First of all, I need that. Second of all, I'm gonna cry. The fact that they keep them and they both have them and they're in different universes. I can't. Across dimension lovers, one of my favorite tropes. It's not done often and it's not done well often. I had a feeling that Heimerdinger would be staying behind or dying or whatever, and that AU Echo would return to his original body. With Heimerdinger, I just felt like his story had come to an end, and it felt right. It felt right for him to make that sacrifice and let Echo go back to his life. And then in terms of AU Echo going back to his own body, I was just like, oh, well, he has to have gone somewhere. So that whole part was interesting to me about time travel and different universes and all that. Let's talk about this little part. Powder still has blue stones in the other universe. She still has the blue balls, as we like to call them. Does that mean that Powder in the alternate universe is going to come replace Jinx? Or we'll have a Powder and a Jinx? I don't know. I don't know what that means, because it's like, well, we could have Powder come into our universe and then she's like the new Jinx, you know? Or we could have Jinx who survived the explosion at the end of Act 3 and then also Powder come over. I don't know. There's a lot of different things. Again, this is what I mean by like loose ends not being tied up that I'm okay with. Like, there's so much story to be explored there. Okay, pardon. I had to go make me a coffee. Episode 8, Killing is a Cycle. So the Black Rose introduction for Noxus, I think, was a great writing choice. No notes. I really enjoyed it. I'm very excited to see what they do in Noxus further on in the show. And I loved how the Black Rose was introduced, because it was like, even if you know the background or if you don't, which in my case, I didn't really know too much about the Black Rose, it was so well like displayed artistically and emotionally, and I just really loved it. The Caitlyn and Jinx little interaction was so anticipated, and they did not let down on that moment. Jinx having her hair down was so metaphorical. She was at her most vulnerable, at her most desperate, and it really just showed throughout her hair and her hairstyles. When Caitlyn said, "Hating you, I've hated myself," they really are two sides of the same coin, but what burnt them out was their hatred for each other. There's so many similarities between Jinx and Caitlyn. I could go on and on and on. I like the blue hair, the mommy daddy issues. I could go on and on about the similarities, the shooting, pressure to be a certain kind of person, feeling ostracized by the world and by your friends. Like, I could go on about the similarities between the two characters, but we would be here forever. Jinx not knowing that Caitlyn's mother was a part of the council that was there that day when the whole explosion happened really did hurt, but I appreciated her apology. At the same time, she has to accept the consequences of her actions. And unfortunately, her retaliating in that way, sending a bomb into Piltover, into the council room, was going to have repercussions no matter what. And so I see from Jinx's point of view why she did that, but also like I see from Caitlyn's point of view of what the hell were you thinking? You know, what did you think was going to be the outcome of this? Jace getting mad at Mel for not saving everyone on the council. When I catch that man, that bearded, scraggly man, it's over. It's done for him. Like, I understand the anger. I get it. Like, your partner got hurt. Innocent lives were taken. Your investor supporter died. You know, your little sister's mom died. But why are we getting mad at Mel? This is not her fault. Like, that made me so irrationally angry. The robot automaton crap, like the white figures and I have a fear of those kind of creatures, of mannequins, of humanoid figures moving. I can't do it. It makes me so, like, I'm not joking. It makes me want to crawl out of my skin. I hate it. I hate Coraline. I hate dolls. I don't know. I don't like it. And I don't want to get too into it because then I'll have a panic attack. But I literally felt like I was playing a D&D campaign. Maybe that's because I'm playing Baldur's Gate and I'm just enwrapped in D&D right now, but it still creeped me out. I was like, no, I don't like that. Please stop. I get why Victor was driven to do what he did, but in the end, it felt pointless. He ended up using arcane matters for wrong, and I guess I'm just frustrated with how things transpired. I can't help but think of how the Victor Jace scenario and everything should have been a season 3 plot, and everything else could have stayed in season 2. I think it would have been flushed out and written so much better if it had been given another season. Culminate to the show's name, right? You want to end with the show's name of like, oh, that's why it's called Arcane. I love pieces of media that do that. That's like, oh, that's why it's called this, or that's why it's named properly. naturally, not like, oh, let's rush it and make sure that it pertains to the name of the show. Like, you know, like it doesn't need to be that way. I love this line by Silco. I may hate him as a character, but I love his line of the cycle only ends when you find the will to walk away, because it's so true. It's the whole eye for an eye thing, like, and the world goes blind. Like, you can't just keep repeating something and hoping things will change at current movements that are happening right now. But, you know, I won't say anything, but Arcane is very hand in hand with what's happening right now, and maybe we should be paying attention to that. I love that line. I really, really do. Vi continuously getting hit over and over in the same spot, another piece I could write an essay about, because her greatest weakness is strength. Her most powerful aspect of herself, which is strength and loyalty, is her weakness. That is her fatal flaw at the end of the day. And seeing her get punched in the gut in that same spot over and over and over again, that's like Jinx left her, and then Caitlyn left her, and this and this and this and that. Like, it's so good. It was so good writing. Jinx ultimately choosing to walk away shows how strong of a character she is and how strong she became, not necessarily physically, but emotionally and mentally. I know it's corny, it's said all the time, but being the bigger person is necessary in life sometimes. I won't say all the time, but I will say in a lot of cases it is. You will never be a passenger. You will never be sitting on the sidelines. Mel was always set up to be this significant, big, major character. She was never meant to be a side character. She always was meant to have her own story and her own plot, and her story isn't over yet, because we're going to be exploring Nexus? Isn't that like a phone company? Noxus, and I'm super excited to see that. In the scene where Jace is like giving the big speech after Victor attacks and everything like that, he had the right intent, but not the right message. He's asking people to set aside oppression and veilings and not meeting basic human standards for the sake of winning one of many wars. Healing doesn't happen overnight or in the blink of an eye. Healing isn't linear. It takes time. And I really wish they could have swapped out Jace with Vi, because I think if Vi said something, it would have been a lot more powerful. But props to all the Zonites that were willing to come and fight still. Like, I don't know if I would have been on board with that. And in that one scene where they're waiting by the bridge with the big light and everything, I really wish, controversial, I'm saying a lot of controversial things, but I really wish that the Zonites hadn't come, and that it had made a point to Piltover that they really failed them. Okay, it is time, my children. If you are not 18 and older, don't be here for this talk, because we're going to be talking about the scene, okay? When Caitlyn did the little lean against the prison cell, people were holding their breaths. You could feel the anticipation in the auditorium. Kate has such a big heart, and it's so overlooked. She sent all the guards away so that Vi could choose what to do about her sister. She gave Vi that choice, and I think that's something that not a lot of people would do in the position that she was in. Okay, back to horny stuff. I'm sorry, I had to put in the sentimental. I'll just insert the clip here.
You really think I needed all the guards at the Hex Gates? Sorry to say, you've grown a bit predictable.
Miss Katie Leung, you are a national treasure. What the hell? What kind of line delivery did they tell you to give in that booth? That is crazy. And then all the efforts that were happening, are you kidding me? Like, what? I was like, do I need to leave the room? I'm not going to. The security's trying to get me out of my seat, and I'm saying, no, I'm stuck here. When Kate was like, oh, I slept with someone else, and Vi was just like, I don't care. Whatever. That's in the past. This is here and now. And I was like, I just couldn't. Let's talk about Fantastic by King Princess, because there was another song choice that was submitted by Girl in Red that, if you have listened to, no offense to Girl in Red, that was your song choice though for that scene? Anyways, I think Fantastic was the perfect song choice. I didn't want anything that was like too slow, too sentimental, and I didn't want anything that was like, I didn't want that. Kate touching the spot on Vi's like gut that she keeps getting hidden and giving her that silent apology. It was so beautiful. I don't think a verbal apology was needed. It would have been nice for sure, but we don't need like everything spelled out for us, right? We can do a show, not tell, and it's so much more beautiful to see a show, not tell with an apology in that kind of way. The little turnaround, the fumbling with the belts, the little smirks, like I used to pray for times like these. If I had grown up watching this as a young kid and seeing sapphic love be portrayed like this, I would have been healed by that. Like that, it would have been such a good example for me. And I wish I had grown up with something like this. And I'm so jealous of all the sapphics that get to grow up with representation like this. Jealous but mostly happy. Also, can we talk about like one of Vi's first lines to Caitlyn being Undercity's gonna eat you alive, and then the scene ends, but my heart didn't. My visions didn't. Whoa. What happened after? I want more, Papa.
Papa, more movie.
No, the movie's over. We gotta go.
Me want more movie.
No, Elle, we gotta go.
You lie!
And Bessa's whole plot of creating a war between Piltover and Zahn to avenge her son's death and, you know, the Black Rose, it's still all a little fuzzy for me. Like, if someone could break that part down for me, that would be great, but I've watched it multiple times. I've watched reactions to it, and I'm still like, why did she do that? What was the point? What was the point? I'm gonna say something controversial again. Put me in chains, officer, I guess. Victor is just as much a villain as Jinx is, as Caitlyn is. Like, he grew in his power by sucking the life forces of others, destroying their memories in the process. And it's not fair that his actions get excused, but then someone like Kate, someone like Jinx, someone like Jace gets called a monster. That's not fair, and that is not understanding media. And then also I wanted to add this in because I was having an IRL talk with, because I have to preface this, people talking about the show IRL versus online is very different. But one person IRL said to me, oh, I think they ruined Victor's character. And for me, that's not true. I don't think they ruined Victor's character. I think they took what Victor's character was in the game, this Jesus-like kind of figure, and they really like pushed it to its limit of oh, what could we do with this character that would be so super crazy. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. At the same time, was I frustrated with his choices and conflicted about his emotions? Yes, I was, but I think that's a sign of good writing as well. I don't think they ruined his character. I just wish that it had made more sense and had been put maybe later in a later season or something like that. But anyways, on to the next episode, episode 9, The Dirt Under Your Nails. Cupcake. Not to get sappy on Maine, but Jinx's story is such a story of we need you more than you think we do. It's better off having you in this world than not having you. You know, having a fragment of you than not having you. There's the whole butterfly effect that I was talking about earlier, where if you aren't a part of someone's story, how does that affect their story? It could create such a big C-worded effect, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not a part of someone's life, that changes their story completely. So don't count yourself out and take care of yourself. When the intro played for the last time in the theaters and everyone sung, like, it's super cringy, it sounds super cringy, but we were all just sitting there and singing and crying, and I think that's such a beautiful thing, and it showed so much community and how much this show has brought us together. And I'm gonna get emotional because this has been like the last 4 years of my life. It's just been loving Arcane and wanting to see where the story goes, and it has helped me in my own journey so much I can't even describe. I love who they chose for the final battle scene with the 4 people, with Mel, Jace, Caitlyn, and Vi. I think that was an excellent roundup that they did. I do wish that they would have saved the fighting scenes for after Vi's entrance, like when she comes in carrying the body, having that be the entrance to the fighting scenes, not have it spliced within the talks. Like, I didn't really love that detail too much. I think that the Piltover Zahn fight versus Noxus without all the arcane aspects would have been so much more rewarding. Having Piltover and Zahn deal with their issues whilst trying to unite against a greater evil would have been just so beautiful to see. And I think the arcane being added into it was just a little too much. Then again, the show's called Arcane, so what am I talking about? What do I know? But I just feel like it wouldn't have felt so crammed together, and we could have hammered in on the sisters and their bond and Piltover versus Zahn like that. I just feel like it could have been fleshed out a lot more. And Bessa's theme and her weaponry really showcases her as a character. The way that Vander was ultimately used as a war machine after trying to bring about peace for so long broke me inside a little bit. Victor using his powers against Piltover and Zahn did not make any sense to me, because he has personal connections to both of these places. Why would he attack that? Okay, Piltover, yes, makes sense because they've been screwing over Zahnites for forever. But with Zahn, why would you attack your own people? Why would you use your own people like that? Like, is it showing how far gone that Victor was, or is it just trying to create dramatic effect? Like, I'm really torn in between that. When our big boy died, people shed tears like that. Like, it was crazy. Like, people were sobbing over that death. I just wanted to mention how much that Caitlyn has improved in not only her fighting style, but as a character, as a person with emotions. It's such a reflection of her courage growing. She just means so much to me. That character, Caitlyn, will forever mean the world to me. The true villain of Arcane, let's talk about it, was that one screw. That was sitting like on top of the tires and like that is the true villain of the show. When Maddie was revealed as the spy, as the Noxus spy, that we were all semi-predicting, but kind of like, maybe it's not, maybe we just hate her. The amount of profanities and screaming towards the screen in the theater, they said like the whole theater was shaking from it. You could not hear what they were saying on the screen for like a solid minute because people were just screaming at Maddie. It was insane. When Caitlyn was stabbed, I thought it was over. I thought I rolled the credits. Like, I was like, if she dies, I'm getting up and leaving this theater and getting my phone, because just not happening. But I also knew that there was no way in hell that they let her die without saying bye to Vi. Like, there was no way that arc was coming to a close in that sort of way by the writers. What warmth? What are you talking about? What warmth? She barely gave you 2 seconds of breathing towards you. She did not even want to smell you. Like, be so for real, you little ginger brat. Oh, I can't. Rat. The sisterliness between Mel and Caitlyn, and them protecting each other, and Mel protecting her, and I love them, Your Honor. I love them. When Stray Kids came in with the fight scene and Jinx and Echo, everyone shot out of their seats. Like, everyone was like, oh my god, this is the scene. Like, it was so hype, it was so well done, and the music was on par. I wish we could have seen how Echo and Jinx talked to each other to get to work with each other. We had that little scene where Echo was like talking her off, but I wish we could have had the scene of them, like Jinx painting his face and this and that. Like, I would have loved it. It would have been so fun. But again, like, the surprise was also really great, so I don't know, I'm conflicted. That slight smirk from Caitlyn when Jinx arrives was everything to me. So sister coded. I love them, Your Honor. I love them. Jinx and Echo being the ones to turn the tide, to bring the Zahnites into the fight, made so much more sense than the whole Jace standing up and trying to get people on his side kind of thing. And I'm glad that it wasn't like, oh, Jace saved the day and Jace was the hero, because I'm sure like back in the day it would have been like, yeah, Jace was the big old hero of everything. So I'm glad they didn't go with that route, but I still wish that it was more focused on the Zaunite kids and Vi had been in the place of Jace. Victor's like all powerful design in that mural, that picture I'm talking about, wow, just wow. I'm holding space for it. It was great. The automatons holding up people and like, at the sky. Biggest, worst nightmare. Don't ever put me in the Arcane universe. When I said I wanted to be in the Arcane universe, I was actually lying. So don't believe her. She's a lying bitch. Whoever said that? Who said that? That's crazy. Couldn't be me, because that's terrifying. I actually probably would have just pissed myself to death. So maybe not. Mel's new powers are so cool and so interesting, and it doesn't feel like, oh, this was shoved in for fan service. Like, it really feels like she was a purposeful character, and they wanted to create a character like this for a long time. The cuts back and forth from the Zon kids to the Piltover leaders was so well done. Such a great art choice. When Victor was like, oh, we'll be united, but the united in question is something that people don't get to choose for themselves. That sounds a little familiar. Caitlyn losing her eye, which is the thing that helps her aim when it comes to shooting, you know, in regards to taking down Mbessa. Like, such powerful writing. I loved the symbolism of it. I have a question for y'all because, again, some of the stuff I'm like, huh? I sit here, I have my education with me, I have my media literacy in the backseat, like, you know, I'm ready to go and I buckle all in, and then they throw something like that at me and I'm like, is the sorceress dead? The one that was like with Mel? Is she dead or is she still alive? I don't know. Mel still catching her mother after everything she did to her makes me want to cry, makes me want to sob. I totally don't have mommy issues. I don't know what you're talking about. And then the Noxians just standing there in that circle and not attacking anyone because they weren't loyal to Mbessa. They were loyal to the cause. They were loyal to Noxus. And so now their shift is on to Mel. And like that was, I just love that little detail. It was so yummy. Wolves have always been cunning. Wolves are smart too. I think wolves are like overlooked and seen as like bite first, ask question later. But wolves can be pretty darn smart. There's a reason why there's like different categories of wolves, you know, the alpha and the beta and all this stuff. You know, not to get too, you know, but wolves are cool. So I think Mbessa highly underestimated her child and saw her as just prey, and she was a predator the entire time. When Jinx says, I'm always with you, like as someone who has a sibling and has troubles with their siblings, I'm not going to get into it, but has a little rifts with their siblings, it meant so much to me. It made me like really appreciate those people in my life more, and I just heavily relate to Jinx in that aspect. When the webs from the automaton people were attached to people like Savika and Caitlyn, the entire auditorium lost it. Like, I've never heard a group of people lose it like that before. Seeing Echo wake up also had the entire auditorium screaming. I can't wait to see what he does in the future with his time powers. It's gonna be so incredible and so rewarding to see that. Him pushing the 4-second limit had us on the edge of our seats the entire time. Having Victor be the one to give Jace that first blue crystal was so trippy. It's something that I'm still like trying to wrap my mind around and explain in my head, and I'm like, but how did he, you know, like I'm still there. But the animation went crazy though. It was insane. That was amazing. Okay, true soulmates. Okay, gay. Okay, we get it. Y'all are, you know, we get it. Like, Alag, Victor vanishing in the end makes sense. It felt like his storyline was completed. But with Jace, I felt like he had so much more story left to tell. But Christian was very much like, nope, this is the end of their story. So I gotta believe that. Vi mourning her dad for the second time. I can't even imagine how that must have felt as an inner child. Like, I don't want to mourn my dad for the first time. I don't want to mourn my dad ever, you know? But it's like, it's inevitable, and having to do that over and over again. Bye. I'm gonna start crying. Now, I'm a little pissed off at this part, so pardon my French. Why the fuck did the writers decide that Vander would still be alive? The Vander hybrid would still be alive when all the automatons went down. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that choice, and to me, it just doesn't make sense. Vi and Jinx could have easily been saved and easily mended their relationship at the end of this, and it let me not get mad. I'm doing really well and not getting mad. Why did you do it that way? In terms of Jinx's sacrifice, I get it. I really do. At the same time, it seemed like the death was just for dramatic effect. Again, Jinx could have easily been saved, and I will die on that. Do I believe that she's truly dead? No, of course not. Still, it pisses me off that it was used as some kind of shocking factor. I don't want to say that in like, oh, the writing was terrible, or like her death doesn't matter if she really died or anything like that. It just frustrates me. I think the ending monologue with Caitlyn was done so beautifully. Everyone writing a name on a piece of paper that they lost was like incredibly heartbreaking. Savika getting the Kiraman council seat was so amazingly done. I love that. But why wasn't it pointed out more? That's something that I would have been okay with telling more than showing, because you don't really get that if you're not really observing where Cassandra Kiraman was sitting before all this happened. Unless you remember that specifically, you don't really see Savika sitting out. Like, you see Savika at the council table and being like, oh, that's really cool, there's Zonites at the council table now. It's such a bigger thing that she's taking Cassandra's place. on the council, in terms of Caitlyn stepping down, in terms of, you know, the Kierman legacy going to Savika. Like, I could go on. The LeBlanc reveal as well. Everything. Loved it. But it could have been explored more. You only get that if you know the lore. I only know the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the LeBlanc stuff, right? And I wish it had been more explained. Some of the stuff doesn't need to be handheld for us, but some stuff does, in case of misunderstandings or not showing the audience enough. Mel taking over the Noxus Empire is going to be so interesting. I'm so excited to see how that all pans out. Our story isn't over. When people say, man, this season didn't wrap up any loose ends, exactly. Exactly. Like, you're not wrong. It was never meant to. That's the point. It's supposed to be a to be continued. It's supposed to be, you know, the Wicked Part 1, like Arcane Part 1, even though it's not going to be Arcane Part 1 because we're done with the Arcane part of the story. But anyways, you get what I'm saying. The story was not supposed to end here. It never was. It will continue, and we will continue to see these characters, maybe not in the main storyline of what we're going into, but here and there, like in how Marvel's does, you know, like, it frustrates me that we can't see that a story might be telling in other ways. Caitlyn at the end holding Jinx's monkey head and then smirking at the computer, at the air ducts specifically. That girl's coming back. That girl is returning. The Violet. So intimate. We've been begging Caitlyn to say Violet, and Katie even said that if she was going to intimately call Violet anything, she would, or Vi anything, she would call her Violet. It was so rewarding. So worth it. I thought, personally, the last words were beautiful. Do I think it could have been more impactful? Absolutely. But do I think it was a nice tie-up in terms of the story? Absolutely. The airship at the end, is that Jinx? Because the text at the end was very Jinx coded. So she going somewhere? She going to explore? She going off to see Lux? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? You know, let me know. It was beautifully done though, and I love how one of the first things we see is an airship, and one of the last things we see is an airship. It's just, the artistic choices were so well done. Now, my overall thoughts on the season, on Arcane, on everything. This season, if I had to rate it, was an 8 out of 10 for me. I enjoyed it. It was a full and complete story. Those that were saying that it reminded them of the Game of Thrones finale, don't see that. Can't agree there. Especially since this isn't the end of all of Runeterra's stories, right? It's just the end of Arcane. For the writer's room, for the next season, series, whatever, I really hope that they expand it and it's not just 3 writers in the room this time, because I think that really put a hindrance on the story. I cannot wait to see where they go next. I definitely think it's going to be Noxus, so I need to look more into Noxus lore and what all that's about, but definitely my money is on Noxus. The animation was even more beautiful than in season 1, which I didn't even know was possible, and I think that was honestly my favorite part of season 2 was the animation upgrade. But anyways, that is the end of this video of all my notes, all my little details that I had to spill about season 2, act 3, and everything in between. The LA vlog is also coming soon, where I went and saw the Arcane finale. I'll insert a little sneak peek here. Alright, final goodbye. Bye. I'm so scared. Here we go. I want to sit here and thank you guys so much for all your love and support on the Arcane videos. It really meant a lot to see how much people cared about them. I will be reacting to whatever Riot and Netflix decide to come up with together. And I'm very excited to announce the next series I'll be reacting to on this channel, which is, drumroll please, Vox Machina, The Legend of Vox Machina. I am in a very D&D mood thanks to Baldur's Gate, and I am obsessed with Critical Role. You don't even know. D&D is literally it's everything in my entire life right now. It's making me the happiest, so I decided to go with Vox Machina. Dragon Prince I will react to if I feel the urge and there's enough push for it, for sure. If enough people want it, I will react to it, but I'm very excited to get back into Vox Machina, so I hope you guys enjoy that. I will be doing early reactions on Patreon and then uploading the later cut reactions here to YouTube, so make sure you check out that. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, or if you liked season 2 or act 3 or any of the aspects of that. Comment down below, do you agree with what I said with season 2 or do you not, and why? And I would love to hear your thoughts, so please let me know below. But anyways, I think that's all I have left to say. I can't believe this is my last Arcane video. This is crazy. We made it. We did it. Thank you guys again so much for all your love and support. I really do appreciate it. And again,
Be gay.
do crimes, and I'll see y'all a little bit later. Bye. Oh my god, we're actually done. We're done. We're done. And we're going on to Vox Machina. Here we go. Y'all ready? I'm ready.